Well, I'm not quite sure what the hell all that was. Hopefully, you guys come back in, and we can at least get this going and wrap it up. Explain what the hell just happened. I do apologize. Like I said, I have two devices hooked up right now. One of them is Wi-Fi, um, and the other one is connected to the box, my network box, my computer, and that's what went down. The Wi-Fi didn't, but my computer did. That was weird. Wasn't even the computer, just the internet to the computer. So, with that being said, I do apologize for that. I do have the panel still going. Not quite sure how many people are going to come back in. Not quite sure if I'm going to be able to get Blue and Charles back in. Though I do appreciate you guys coming on. Uh, do apologize for the inconvenience. Trying to see, can't see the top box. But everything seems to be fine now. So we'll go from here and see what happens. I think what we were talking about was changing the minds, I guess. Um, Charles, if you're still there, I do apologize. If you want to come back in and ask me those questions, um, more than welcome to. Uh, I did hear some of them. All right, we'll see what happens. What's up, C-Force? Yeah, internet went down. I don't know why it did. There's a whole reason I waited so that this wouldn't happen, but hey, it happens. Trying to get the panel stuff back in here because I don't. Pretty sure if Blue or Charles, you guys come back, I'm pretty sure you guys will be able to just jump in at any point that you want to. Maybe we'll fix it up. But I do apologize for that. I don't want to. I want to keep going. I want to push it. I'm almost at 2 hours. Kind of happy about that. Okay, so I do kind of remember what Charles was asking me. He was asked me. I remember him asking me when I left. I told him 4 years ago. Um, I don't. I was kind of going through the issue, so I wasn't really sure. What's up, Blue? Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Charles had to go, so
Okay, no
he's
worries.
out for the afternoon.
Yeah, I was trying to hash remember what he was talking about, what he was asking me, but I think it was the basic why I left questions. I think I'll wait until he comes back to answer them, or the next time we talk to him to answer them.
Yeah, it'll be the whenever the next time is. I think he had to go do something.
Okay, yeah, no worries, no
But
worries.
yeah, I think you answered his last question, which was how long ago. And I
Okay,
agree. As I remember it, it was about 5 years ago.
it was definitely a long time ago,
Yeah, it's been a minute.
and the best part is I still learning, so I'm happy about that part. It would have been real bummed to have left flat Earth and then everything gone completely stale. Be like, I know everything.
Well, nothing changed. I mean,
Yeah, not at all. And like I said, that's one of those things that we were talking earlier about the final experiment and what it's going to actually do. I think at the very best, it'll open up the eyes of someone most likely who has nothing to do with this conversation, right? Like doesn't go on panels, doesn't talk, doesn't even text chat. They're probably going to be the ones, if at best this affects. Um, they're very seldom that you openly happens, especially for a bunch of people that claim to be truthers.
yeah, we've seen too many of these things. Supposedly the thing that's going to end it all, and it isn't. They'll just come up with another set of excuses. That's all.
and
Witzel will put together some fabulous word salad to explain how the sun ended up going away in front of him and came back behind his head.
that is that is. Did you hear Jaron when he talked about that? Because Jaron made it clear that if it does that, then it can't be flat. Does Witsit do that?
Oh,
Does he
Witzel
play
will
the
come up with something. I'm
and that
sure Witzel will have an answer for why it did that.
and I want to say I'll say it openly. I was defending them before, but now that I've gotten like a full gist of what this Duffy guy's about and what he wants to do, has Witsit openly said he's not going?
I don't know. I haven't really kept any. I haven't kept track of it.
Because I could definitely see being like you're saying, him finding a reason not to fucking go, and it or not to go, not to go, but to find a reason to just make up an excuse for why it happened,
Yeah.
and people following it is what worries me.
Oh hell, he does it with everything else. Why wouldn't he do it with this?
I don't think anything else would be in his face as much as that would be, which it doesn't do very much. I've also noticed that he's a great talker. He's he's a great salesman. He could sell water to a whale. But as for doing something, I don't think he does. What he hasn't done anything except for that tour, right? But he didn't not doing anything.
Yeah. Oh, what's this, that guy Vince? It's on the used to be on the late night infomercial selling Vegematics or what the hell ever. That's
Exactly.
that's Witzel.
To a bunch of meat eaters. It's the weirdest thing in the
Uh
world.
huh. Oh yeah. He's personable and well spoken, and I give him all that. Um, most of what he says doesn't make a damn bit of sense, but okay, whatever.
What's weird is like I get it, but I don't get it. Because for me it was I gotta be honest because I not planning to just disappear. But that is like they set themselves up for that to be the only option. Like if Witsit became a Glober, he'd have to disappear at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
And
see any
from
way. How do you how is he ever going to walk all that back?
yeah, it's I personally, like I said, I don't know how they do that because when I was a flat earther, and let me tell you, I was convinced it was fucking flat. But at no point was I like, doesn't matter if what you say makes sense. You have to be wrong because it's flat. Like that line of logic doesn't sit well with me if I'm claiming to be a tree. That was the main thing for me.
Well, that is in fact the entire argument. I have decided it is flat. Therefore, anything that shows it not to be flat must be wrong. It just has to be by definition. Why? Because I know it's flat.
So weird. And the worst part of it is what it really does is it almost conditions lesser flat earthers to think that's how you have to think.
Yeah,
Like I heard, what was it? Like that's why I was saying earlier why Jaren's so good at that backtracking is because he's done it for so long with like things like the ISS, Beyond the Imaginary Curve documentary. I mean, like it's confusing to me why the people keep following them, as in why aren't they questioning them more? But that's always been my thing with flat Earth. Why don't you question like flat earthers? And this goes out to all flat. Like it made more sense to me as a flat earther to question flat earthers, the flat Earth content creators all the time, rather than questioning Globers all the time. Because the content creators are the ones that are telling you it's flat and and it's what you're using as evidence. You should be grilling them, and that's what I did. That's why I started getting kicked out of flat Earth servers and YouTube channels because they didn't like a flat earther saying something against what another flat earther was saying, and that was one of the red flags. That was like the very first red flag for me.
yeah. That's well. That's just the way they go about doing it. Um, It doesn't matter how much logic you hand them, they're not going to pay any attention.
Now, do you think it's completely flat Earth's fault that it is where it's at right now?
I wouldn't say that it's completely that. No.
Because I think,
Like,
like,
we got some guys on our side that get things pretty wrong too.
because I think that was because I'm going to use you as a perfect example. Because when I first met you and you first came around, you were very, very soft. Odd saying that, soft spoken. Kind of sat in the background. You talked when you were able to talk, but then as the progression happened, you very clearly you started getting irritated, started, starting getting sick of being talked shit to all the fucking time, and it definitely and it's very clear it's not how you presented the stuff because you didn't start off going you guys are idiots. It was one of those things where after a certain amount of time of being talked to the way they talk to you that you start getting that way. But that was the detriment of the NASA shills or the Reds rhetorics of the time. And I think flat Earth for this is as a glober, flat Earth isn't going to go anywhere until the people that are here just to make fun of it stop mingling with the people that are trying to be serious about it. I consider yourself to be someone that's serious about it. You made a fucking Cavendish. You not only made a Cavendish, but you made a Cavendish that went to a university and is being used. Uh, Having doubt in a Cavendish is ridiculous. Just in that alone, it does something. You built it. There's no reason to discount you.
Boy, it doesn't stop those guys though.
Yeah, and then that's again red flags
They're
because
still they still criticize it to this day,
and that and
and
that,
they
and that
almost quit.
doesn't that's what doesn't make any sense. I know I've heard Witsit start to describe it, but I'm not gonna lie. Once he starts, I kind of tune out because I know the word salad is gonna happen. But I don't. I've never heard an actual reasoning for why the apparatus does what it does. Forget gravity. Forget mass attracts mass. I've never heard a reasoning for why it happens. It just that it happens at all. Same with the pendulum. These very like, and that was the one thing I really noticed when I left flat Earth. That a lot of the doubt that you should have for flat Earth as a flat earther are in these very simple things. I think Cavendish is extremely complicated. I have an idea. I have a very like I know what it is. I know what it does. I know how it works, but I could never build one. I could never teach a class of people who have no clue what it is, exactly what it is, and how it works. But it's like it. It's the simplest of things that confuse me to why this is still happening. Because it was those simple questions that, like, I when I was a flat earther, I used to ask the big questions. Why doesn't gravity work at the edge of the universe or at the edge of our or edge of our solar system or our galaxy? I'm sorry. Um, why why is dark matter a thing? If you guys like these really complicated things, and then once I realized that I need to start asking myself the simple questions, figuring out the simple questions, that's when things started to unravel, like really started to unravel because they were less complicated to understand. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I agree with you. Um, Cavendish to me is so undeniable. I mean, if you leave the large masses alone and you stay away from the apparatus itself, it will sit there very stably and it will sit for days or weeks and not move. But the minute you put those large masses in proximity to the small ones, shit starts to happen. Now, you can go about explaining that any way you want to. You can use Newtonian physics and say that there's an attraction between the two masses, or you can use relativity if you like and talk about bending space time and all that stuff. But one way or the other, those masses interact with each other.
Yeah, and
It's undeniable.
yeah, Well, again, that's literally going like them denying that it's doing something.
And it's not like it just does it once in a while. It does it every time. 100% of the time, it does the same thing.
What's up, Barney? Barney's in the chat.
Yeah. Hey, Barney. Barney's talking about yeah, I remember that night reading the
Yep, I still
Cavendish
have it.
paper.
I think I even watched that a couple years ago. I like to every once in a while go through, fast forward through my voice, everyone else.
It's very hard to follow Cavendish, follow his writings, uh, because we don't do math that way these days. Those guys were all about proportions.
So it would be when you say like you mean like less accurate. I don't want to say less accurate.
No, it gets the right answer, but it does it in an odd way of it's an odd logic that you have to use to to figure out what he's saying.
Is that because we have a more simplified way of explaining it now or expressing it now?
It's yeah, but I think it's because our our math conventions are just different nowadays. Um, we are more inclined to go with to to treat things in terms of equalities instead of proportionalities.
I don't think I understand that last part.
It's kind of a rabbit hole. I think we'll avoid. I go through all the calculations. If you look at stuff on my channel, I go through all that stuff and show it in modern terms. I went through the Cavendish paper too and did it. Uh, the modern method is a hell of a lot easier to explain and understand. It's all straightforward physics that doesn't just work for Cavendish; it works for anything.
uh, yeah, hmm. would I don't know how to ask this question. Could Cavendish? How do I ask this? Is there electromagnetic force that could be measured using Cavendish?
Um, well, it's a torsion balance, and it could be used to measure lots of different kinds of forces. Um, a torsion balance is what Coulomb used to measure electrostatic forces.
So it's not specific to this mass attract mass,
No,
or
it doesn't have to be. It does not have to be that at all. It can be another force like an electrostatic force, or it could be a magnetic force.
how different? How much different is the test if, say, electromagnetic? However, you would.
Well, in all likelihood, even with fairly weak magnets, you'd have to desensitize that thing tremendously because that force is going to be necessarily probably uh, millions of times more uh, stronger than the gravitational force is.
Then what voids them out for the gravitational test?
The fact that we use non-magnetic material,
Okay, I see.
non-ferromagnetic material. Everything's magnetic. It's diamagnetic or paramagnetic or ferromagnetic. But if you use diamagnetic material, that cannot be permanently magnetized in any way, shape, or form. And when you subject a diamagnetic material to a magnetic field, what will end up happening is you generate the opposite field. Uh, I should say a similar field, so that it's not an attractive force any longer. It becomes a repulsive force. So the damn thing would work backwards. Hello, Barney.
What is up, Barney?
Hello, dear friends from a previous life.
It's so good to hear you, man. Been a long,
Yeah,
long
it's
time.
been a while. Yeah. Oh, and shit has happened in between.
Oh yeah.
All of the shit.
Anything you could think of, it happened.
Yep.
But all is good though.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see you streaming again.
Yes. Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm getting all the bumps and the hiccups out. I'm not sure if you were here a little earlier. This is the second stream because my internet cut out, but it's fun. Fun relearning it all though. So hopefully I'm gonna make this a regular thing. I want to do it every day, but I know I'm not gonna be able to every day. But I'm gonna try.
Start off slow,
Yep. Well,
and once you
the
get us all hooked, then you can ramp up.
exactly. I got you and Barney. You guys are here. Gotcha. No, it's fun. I didn't expect it. I didn't start up expecting my panels to be there to be 50 people in the chat. I know it's got to be built up. That's the fun. That's the fun part of it.
Yeah, I've had a 4 year hiatus from Flat Earth in general. After you stopped streaming, I just left all the discords and kind of stepped away for a bit for 4 years. Got into woodworking.
That's fun.
Oh,
Well, I got into a lot of different things. Um, oh yeah, shit. Yeah, we haven't talked. So I was in California. Ended up moving to Texas. Um, basically stopped doing construction to help my now wife's mother and her ceramic business. So I've been doing ceramics for past 3 years. Um, we just recently bought a house, and now I'm going back. I'm going to school so I can get my contractor's license for septic tanks. So I can get back into construction again. But yeah, a lot has changed.
a lot has changed. And the Earth is still flat
It
with
appears that
all
way.
those changes. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, it always was, Barney.
Yep.
Well,
The
the
Earth
funny
is
part
At
is,
least
definitely
at least
locally flat.
locally.
Yes,
Yep.
it is locally
Exactly.
flat.
I was just about to say.
the best part is, Barty, you've been gone for 4 years, but if you get into a conversation, nothing's changed. Just the
Just like
people.
watching a soap opera. You can leave for years and come back,
Well,
and there's
for me, a lot of things have changed because I've forgotten a lot of the arguments and the research that I did 4 years ago, and things that I knew about physics 4 years 4 years ago.
You heard it,
I,
flat Earth, fresh meat.
well, I'll pick it back up. It's
Yeah,
it's not that it was something like um, it's not nuclear physics. It's Newtonian physics.
yeah,
It's simple stuff.
it,
It's elementary school grade
yeah.
stuff.
it
It really is.
what I'm really excited for, Barney, is for us to have a conversation about weather modification and climate change stuff because you are the reason that I went away from the doom and gloom only of it and started like looking around for like all the other yeah, there's still a lot of doom and gloom, but like I started looking at the both sides of it and then I started getting more information about it. So I'm so amped to start talking about that stuff again.
Yeah, and lots and lots of gloom and gloom, but it's not all doom and gloom. Don't prejudge yourself.
It
No,
was
I really like what's her name, Hosenfelder.
Yeah,
You know who I mean?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, the lady physicist.
yeah, she's been getting into a lot of that stuff lately. Like what would work for climate change, what wouldn't work, what would be detrimental, what is just dumb fads. I really like her content on that topic lately.
Now my main view on it now is there could be some that is really good for us that we really could help us survive. But I think the main aspect of this conversation now needs to be um, adapting to what's going to happen rather than trying to control it. Because I do still think it's a control game they're playing, and they're going above the means of which they should be. But like I said, there are things that we do need to start doing because realistically, I've fucked it up enough, and we are trying to stay here.
I don't think it was ever a question of surviving. Like, well, the Earth, no matter what we do, the Earth will not die. It's just
Yeah,
that we
but
will have a drastic change of quality of life.
yes, and I think that's the big thing. I think we've, I think instead of focusing on our quality of life, we need to focus on just life.
Well, if you're focusing on just life, then you don't need to do anything. It'll be fine. Life will go on. Even
But
if
I
we
mean,
all die, there will be bacteria which will survive.
I don't get me wrong. I like quality of life. It's just there's got to be a nice balance to it. I don't think we have balance to that right now. I think
Yeah,
we
truly,
all
truly,
want
yes.
our quality of life so damn much that the life part doesn't matter. And that's
True that. And there are people who have been calling out for sustainable growth for decades now, for half a century now, and are constantly being considered the fringe. That's so strange. So, are you guys prepping for Civil War 2?
well, that's another topic I wanted to talk about now. Well, it's already started here in Texas. That's the whole border situation going on.
Yeah, what's it like out there? People arming up?
Well, everyone's armed in Texas.
Well, true that. They don't need to arm up.
um, it's not crazy like you would think it is, but you can definitely tell there's a shift that's going to start happening. Um, I would say the majority of Americans aren't very happy with what's happening with the immigration situation and the current um, Democratic side that's pushing it all. Um, I think they're clumping everything together, and now the Americans are starting to notice it, and it's starting to piss everyone off. I don't think it's going to be a civil war. I think it's going to be a political war. More sides will be divided by that, if anything, really.
I was just hearing what the Republican reaction to Trump's conviction and calling out like blatantly for persecution of anybody who is Democrat because they're Democrat, and that's apparently a thing you can do. And like, yeah, that's like one of the last conversations we had was how the war started in on the Balkans. Like looking at the U.S., like more and more looks like that.
Well, hopefully, it's happening. I guess I'll say in my personal opinion. I think I think what's gonna happen, and this is what I'm hoping is gonna happen. I hope that because of the bullshit Trump, the situation with Trump, and all the shit with Biden, that everyone's gonna realize how much of a shit show it is, and really want change, like an actual change, not just bullshit change, like everyone keeps saying every election. But the Democrats aren't doing right, and I'll just say it better. The situation we're in right now is a fucking complete embarrassment to be an American.
Yep, agreed.
It, I I want to say the only way to solve it is to get someone in office can really that really gives a fuck. The problem is the only method to that is voting, and I still hold the stance that voting is bullshit. It still doesn't. It doesn't. It's not set up for my vote to count. It's set up to claim it does, but it doesn't. My vote is crap.
It's still the only thing that you have.
Well, I still have the right not to vote.
Well, yeah, you can throw yourself out of the equation. That's
Yeah, that's right.
I feel it's better than
I
voting
don't know.
on the lesser of an evil.
The
Well,
as the
to be
man
honest,
said,
I also throw away my votes because I always vote, no matter what, whatever the election is, I vote and I vote my conscience. I vote for whatever I damn well think should be, regardless of is that prudent or not.
Yeah, but the problem with that is see, I don't know about where you're voting, but voting here, you can vote on something you like because they said it, but when they get elected, they don't do it. That would,
Fair enough. Yeah, that
I
happens
mean,
that's
everywhere.
that's actually the good news.
Yeah,
If you want, if you want to know the truth, that's something my dad used to say. Thank God those assholes can only do about 5% of the shit they threaten to do while they're running for office. Thank God.
true that. But your system is kind of really set up to disable any kind of meaningful change, or everything is 50-50, two-party system at very short limits and very small majorities, and everything requires a supermajority. So it's almost guaranteed that nothing ever happens, and your court system is set up to be kind of super conservative in lowercase c conservative, as in prefer not to change anything in any way. So even if something changes, the courts step in to make sure that it doesn't change. Like I understand why that is so. You need to have stability in terms of not changing anything to have an economy. Any change, whatever change you bring, no matter how good or bad, will fuck up the economy in the short run, always, because
oh,
the economy relies on stability, relies on people with the money being able to forecast what will happen with their money.
then we're just taking out the whole fucking living free aspect of it. It's not really free then at all.
Yeah, it's not. The US is like, you really like the symbol of liberty and the symbol of freedom, but you're a very illiberal society.
Oh yeah, as selfish as it gets. Every fucking one of us. I'm not giving up my computer for nobody. But I do want to stop the mining in Africa, right? That's usually how it works.
Yeah,
But that's also
and
why I think we need to start logically adapting to what's happening. What that takes, I'm not really sure, but it sounds good when I say it.
yep, nuke the whole thing and start over.
There's a thought.
Like, yeah. Yeah. There is a whole movement, accelerationism, which is literally that. Can we make it all crumble faster?
I think we're trying. We're trying as fast as we can. Every, and that goes for the world, not just America.
Oh, hell, democracy is by far the worst form of government you could ever think of, except for all the other ones.
Yep.
There's got to be a good like a like got to be a government that like everyone's like they're awesome.
There isn't. Well, no, there isn't. But the closest that I know of is Iceland. But that's because Iceland has the population of a small town.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not enough people to be corrupt.
No, they have corruption. They just very effectively deal with it because it's literally going up the street and dealing with it.
Going to your next door neighbor's house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cut that shit out, dude.
Yeah. Behave or we'll throw you in a volcano.
There you go. That's what we need. We need just or natural ways of stopping stuff. Perfectly.
So a little while ago, you were talking about maths and why Cavendish's maths are hard to read now, and it kind of ties into something that's been bothering me for a while. Um, there's a trend of standardization and optimization of processes, which is creeping into sciences like for the last, I don't know, a century, let's say, where like with industrialization, with standardizing dimensions and all of that, maths has also been standardized. There is now a standardized way of communicating, and you often run into people on these panels, like back when, that you remember that problem where you give a definition and they say no, that's not that definition, and then they rattle out the exact definition from their elementary school book,
Yeah.
right? Because the sequence of the words is what's important. It's not the meaning of the words. You can't say it any other way. It goes this way. That facilitates communication. That makes it easier for people to understand things because they're all speaking the same language. I'm talking about maths, but it kind of makes it harder to innovate. Where back then it was quite common that everybody did math the way they preferred, right? It doesn't matter that you're using the standard language. Whoever wants to understand it needs to try hard and try to understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Needs to figure it out. And that was a common skill.
Yeah.
Whereas
That's right.
nowadays you're kind of educated to communicate in the same language, which makes it easier, but it also kind of makes it undesirable for people to try to think up new ways of formulating something.
I have
To
a
some extent,
question.
that's an overgeneralized statement. No, of course, that at some level people just communicate and don't bother.
Do you think because of that, there's a chance that we will never have another Einstein?
I I don't think so. The
Think,
I
what
don't
do you
think
think?
we'll have another Einstein in general, but that's not the primary reason. We will have Einsteins; they will just not be that impactful. No,
And that,
it's not that things can't change. It's not that you can't reformulate things. If you find something, if somebody finds something that's as effective as what Einstein did, yeah, people will learn that new thing and communicate about it, and then in several iterations it will be reformulated into its most optimized form. That's what happened to Einstein. Like when you read his papers, all of the formulas and equations that you know as Einstein's equations, they're not there because he didn't use standardized language in that way. He didn't express them in the most optimized way possible. E equals mc square is nowhere in Einstein's papers,
No.
Oh wow.
right? You will not find that equation. There is a sentence which describes it. The concept is there, the information is there, but you will not find that equation. That equation came later as an optimization, as making something more palatable and easier to understand and faster to communicate.
Well, wow. Well, then that's why I say that because I, if that's the case, science today isn't driven to think that way. So how do you find something that's outside the box?
Uh, the problem isn't so much about the way of thinking. The way of thinking is still the same. It's just that the incentive isn't so much to how do, how do I say it? The incentives are the business of academics, where you have to publish that many papers per year to be tenured, right? To have a position at a university. There is no kind of general mailing system, right? The Einstein wasn't a professor at any university when he did his wonder year. He was working as a patent clerk with all the time in the world to fiddle and play around with ideas. Whereas now we kind of have a very formalized education that puts you in a position of a scientist under quotes, where your primary job is to publish something, anything, anything that you can get published in a paper. That's a good thing to work on. It doesn't matter if it's valuable, it doesn't matter if it's right, as long as it's publishable. And the measurement is how many papers have you published. If you haven't published anything this year, then you will have a problem. Right?
But that's why I feel like we're in the decline of science innovation, right? Like we're not. That's why when you say the way you just said it makes me feel like the answer is we will absolutely not have a Einstein, and you know what I mean when I say Einstein, a revolutionary change understanding of science. I don't think will happen in our lifetimes. I think yeah, in our lifetimes for sure. And I think that's because kind of the way
Yeah,
you
but
described it. The easy way to say it is
that's
that everything's gotten
yeah,
soft.
that statement was perfectly valid a year before Einstein published his papers.
Ah, I see. So,
Right?
so the
Back
stale
then, it
feel,
was
so the stale feeling in science is a normal thing.
yes, like throughout the history of science, we were always at the end of science. Like there's nothing really new to discover. We kind of figured it out. We know more or less everything. We have a functioning model. Like before Einstein, it was classical physics. Classical physics was complete, except for this little problem of, well, several orbits didn't kind of perfectly align, and the Michelson-Morley experiment failed, and but that those were just kind of small glitches. And there was this thing of the ultraviolet catastrophe where energies really didn't align, but those were minor things at the outskirts. They had a model which explained everything, right? And then in a span of about 10 years, it all fell apart, and you had the start of quantum physics and of general relativity. like literally within a decade.
It's gonna be a weird question. I think is quantum physics just more of that what you just described? Inside the box thinking, or is it outside the? I guess that's a better way. Is it the outside of the box thinking of science, or is it just more of the it must be so we'll go along with?
Uh, it, uh, the problem with quantum physics is that it works. It works better than anything ever.
But
Right?
how's
There
it?
was never such a model of physics that worked so precisely and so accurately and so kind of in alignment with the real world,
Wait, I thought
with
the
all of
problem.
its quirks.
I thought the problem was that quantum didn't align with what we observe or our understanding of things. Better way of saying.
Your intuition, it doesn't align with your intuition. It
Oh, okay.
aligns with your measurements, right? Whatever you can go out and measure and check, that's what it aligns with.
Ah, okay. So the issue is that it doesn't align with our thought process of how it works, but when we use it, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, makes more makes more sense to the
Okay.
confusion of quantum.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be using it if it didn't align with reality. Like that quote that you have before every stream. It doesn't matter. Same thing goes kind of the reverse of that is it doesn't matter how stupid your idea is, it doesn't matter how confusing or unintuitive it is, if it does align with the experiment, it is correct.
I'm gonna have you
Right.
say. I'm gonna have you say that again at some point, so I can clip it, so I can add it to it, so I can have both sides of that. That's actually really.
Right, that's the problem of quantum physics. Nobody thinks it's intuitive. Like Feynman's another famous quote of Feynman is, I don't understand quantum physics, therefore you don't understand. Nobody understands quantum physics, right? But it works. That's the biggest problem with it.
Okay.
Schrodinger got drunk on a hill with three babes in his bed and wrote up an equation, and that equation still holds.
I wonder if that's frustrating. Like,
Immensely. And then you have kind of a stalemate of the shut up and calculate people, which kind of have lost all hope and approach it as it just works. You don't have to understand it. Here's the formula, put in the variables into it, and the outcome will be correct. Right? You don't need
yeah,
to think about it. You don't need to fight with it. You don't need to argue with it. You don't need to, right? It just works. Shut up and calculate. It's just
that
pass.
that's not good though, either. Though.
Yeah, but nobody has an idea how to get away from that. It's not. It's not a question of is it good or isn't it good? Is it philosophically pleasing? It's a question of does it work, and does anything else? Do you have an alternative? For over a century, nobody came up with an alternative. We just figure out figured out more ways of understanding quantum physics that work better. And we're in that same position of, well, it works perfectly and explains everything. That's the same position that classical physics was in before Einstein, right? Except for right, except for the neutrino spin problem, except for dark matter and dark energy, except for the fact that general relativity and quantum physics literally cannot be combined, but they are both immensely true, evidently. right? Until
Yeah.
somebody finds a completely different way of thinking about it. But
Yeah.
that's a very easy statement to make,
Yeah,
right?
to the extent that we can measure stuff, those things are true.
Yeah,
They may not make any sense, but they're true.
right. It's not for the lack of people who are trying to come up with a new idea. It's just really, really hard to tell yourself, "Ooh, I'm now going to have a thought that nobody has ever had before." Hmm.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. And that thought will be correcter than the most correct theories that we have now, because that's basically what Einstein did,
Yeah,
and not just Einstein, right?
Oh
yeah.
no,
Any,
not just
any of them.
Einstein.
On the other hand, when that shift happened, when light energy got quantized, within a couple of years there was so much progress just by people sitting down and working it out. That Schrodinger, like Schrodinger's equation, the fact that Schrodinger's equation exists is the most fascinating thing in physics for me, because it's literally he didn't know what he was calculating. He didn't know, like somebody gave him a problem and he went on a weekend um, retreat, literally got off his ass drunk with and had sex all weekend, and in between that wrote down an equation, which is the wave equation, which describes the movement of particles by probability waves, and that still works today.
Where would we be at if they hadn't done these things?
I don't think it would have been avoided. It would have been formulated differently, but it would be the same thing. Uh, One part of that standardization and optimization is that it masks the fact that all of these things can be stated in infinitely many ways, right? You can take them apart and recombine them with different names and quantities and say that what is a composite value is now a primitive value, and vice versa. And you will get the same system.
It would may not have been an Einstein. It may not have been then. Would have.
Yeah. But that's another thing. Like Einstein didn't, as revolutionary as Einstein didn't do it in vacuum. It took Minkowski, and it took what's his name, the electrical theory guy. Um, Never mind. Like there was a movement in that direction. There was kind of general relativity 1.0 proposed before Einstein actually managed to do it. It was an environment in which a lot of people were trying in the same way to solve those few unsolved problems.
It wasn't Einstein just became like the involuntary spokesman for most of the stuff he came up with? Someone in the chat said he thinks you were talking about Maxwell.
Maxwell, I was talking about Lorentz.
He was start with an L. I still didn't want to say it and be wrong.
I just had a brain fart and couldn't come up with a name. But yeah, Maxwell was somewhat before that, but Lorentz is the one that kind of came up with relativity, with that model of um, time dilation, space contraction, all of that. It's just that his was constrained to electromagnetic forces, and then
Okay. So
Einstein managed to generalize it for everything by applying it to space time.
I think I've asked you this before. I don't remember the answer. A grand unified theory, possible or not possible? Ooh, wait. Let me rephrase that because it is possible because it is. Will we ever figure it out or not? The better way of
Yeah,
asking it.
it would be a really weird thing if it wasn't possible, like from my standpoint. But maybe it's not.
Well, because the way I see it is everything that, like, and this was one thing that I had to realize when I left flat Earth was when we talk about physics and known physics, it is only a piece of what is. Is like we're just trying to explain what is, um, and to be and everything can be explained through one thing. It's just will we ever be able to figure that out? Because it does run. It is happening. Everything is doing its own thing within its own thing of its own thing. So I mean, there is a grand unified theory. There it absolutely has to be.
I it doesn't, because so physics is not reality. It's not about, huh? Physics is not reality. Physics is not about complete descriptions of reality. Physics is about describing regularities and patterns, conserved quantities, symmetries, something that can be expressed in simple ways. Right?
So then,
Even when it's talking about chaos, it is talking about the regularities of chaos. That's
okay,
what
so now,
physics is. That's why you have formulas. That's why you have, like, we're searching for simple expressions that explain something.
okay,
There
so what
is
I'm,
a process called overfitting,
mhm.
where you make your formula so complex that it encompasses every single piece of data by saying, well, this piece of data will be here, and this piece of data will be here, and this piece of data will be here. And you get a formula that's trillions of pages long, but is 100% accurate, right? But that's not what physics is looking for. It doesn't care about that, right?
Okay,
It, it
so
needs to it needs to be simplified. It needs to be graspable as a concept. It needs to explain. It needs to enable understanding, and not merely understanding, but functional understanding. Otherwise, it's kind of useless.
okay,
A
so
list of a list of all the exact positions and energy states of all the atoms of the planet Earth is kind of useless to you.
I'm kind of seeing. I'm now just now realizing when I asked about that, it's it. Now I'm thinking about it. It would almost be impossible to have a grand unified theory.
Unless it's not, to that's kind of what is a grand unified theory. If you're talking about a theory which explains all the regularities that are known for now as a subset of one general theory, then that's a grand unified theory. It doesn't have to have all the data. It doesn't have to be infinitely precise. It just needs to unify everything, right? It needs to explain both gravity, electromagnetic, strong force, weak force, and whatever forces we're currently unaware of.
Kind of makes it possible.
Why?
How could you ever be aware of everything that's aware?
No, you
How would you
don't have
know?
to be aware of everything. You don't have to be aware of everything.
But it would have to explain everything.
No. Well, to explain everything and to know everything are two very drastically different things, right? To explain gravity, you can use general theory of relativity, right? General relativity. That does not mean that you know all the positions and all the interactions and all the strengths of all the forces in the universe, right? Even
Right.
though that theory explains all of them.
Okay.
It gives,
So the
right?
grand unified theory would only be scale of which compass to be that, right? If we were trying to unify Newtonian, we could do it. So typically everything we need to know about
Mm.
it, but it's not
Well,
to the extent of everything.
Yeah, there
mm,
were great unification events during physics, right? At some point, magnetism and electric forces were considered separate and were completely unconnected to each other in our understanding of physics. And then Maxwell came and unified them. And we stopped talking about the electric forces and the magnetic force. We started talking about the electromagnetic forces, right?
Well, after you said that, now I really think it's impossible.
uh,
While at the same time being confused. But
that, but that's kind of the thrust of what I said about it, physics not being reality and not being the sum of all true statements about reality, but just being a model,
yeah,
being a tool for grasping with reality. Right?
it's a progression, you know. Um, Einstein came along and said, "Yeah, Newton's right, but it's just one special case of a much broader general relativity." You can certainly,
It,
you can
it's
certainly
locally
take,
flat.
yeah, it's locally flat. Exactly.
well,
Yeah,
with that being
you
said,
can in fact take general relativity at the weak field limit, and you get Newtonian physics, Newtonian gravity.
But that's kind of the exact analogy, right? Newton said the Earth was flat, and Einstein said yes, but only locally.
Only locally.
You're not wrong. You're just
Yeah,
not completely
yeah.
right.
You've just picked a special case. That's all.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
I'm gonna do now, because I've been running long and I'm getting a little wheezy. I'm gonna go ahead and end it, and I think that was perfect because now you just gave fuel to all the flat Earth. Uh, I can't wait to hear the first flat earther to say Newton said it was flat.
Oh, one
It's-
I'm well too. Believe me.
oh yeah, I can't wait. I'm gonna wrap this one up. Barney, Blue, I appreciate you guys being here. Barney, man, this Blue, I see you all the time. Barney, I'm so happy to see you, man. It's been so damn
Yeah,
long.
I mean,
I,
Yeah, that's why I shut
I
up.
have a huge grin on my face just for the opportunity
yeah,
to
yeah.
join
Every
one
time
of
I see
these
your name,
streams
it's
after all
awesome.
this time.
I'm so I'm gonna I want to do the everyday thing, but because it's new, I don't want to guarantee every day, but it's gonna be at least every other day. So
Okay.
I definitely want you back.
I will very much try to join no more than once a week.
But anytime you want to, though, anytime, floor is
Yeah.
always open to you. But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I got some other things to do. I gotta go back to work in a little bit, so it worked
Yeah.
out. And this is the longest, for the record, this is the longest stream I've had since I've been back. So I'm very happy it lasted almost 3 hours. Oh wait, 2.5, we'll say 2.5 hours. So I'm pretty happy about that. It's getting better. It's getting longer, and I'm starting to remember how to do things on here. So it will get smoother as time goes, as long as my internet doesn't crash. But yeah, other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and get the hell out of here. Um, I don't know if you're gonna stick around on the panel or not. If I'll come back, but I gotta mute you guys for a second, and then do my little outro, and then I'll be back in here in a second. You guys don't listen to them.
Yeah, it's been a long time, Barney.
Yeah. And the world has changed.
All right, I know what I got. Here we
Like literally, those last few streams before Sean went away was like smack in the middle of the pandemic, and we took refuge at my in.
All right, people. Like I said, I appreciate you guys being here. Things are gonna get smoother, a little bit better as we go. I did see some people roll in. I apologize if you didn't know. The first stream was going on, and then I lost the my connection for some odd, weird reason that upsets me and irritates me. But got all better. Won't happen again. Like I was saying a minute ago, I'm gonna try to do a lot more. I would love to do it every day. I'll build up to doing it every single day, but for right now, it's going to be every other day for sure. And then, like I said, the times that I can get in for the next day, I'll do it every day. I don't care. I want to be here, and I want to be talking to you guys. It's been a long time. A lot of you guys I haven't seen in a long time, and it's good to see you, especially our friend Barney, who has not been around for many, many years in the discussion, and I'm excited for him to be back. I think it'd be amazingly awesome if we can get Barney and debate one day. We'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I got some stuff to take care of. I appreciate you guys being here, especially everyone that came back to this stream since the first one went down. Um, there's some other big things going on. Like I said, next week I will for sure have a weather modification presentation slash rant, and then it'll be an open panel again. Tomorrow, I almost can say I won't be on, but keep your notifications, likes, and all that good stuff. Keep a watch on it. If I do, it will be scheduled. It won't just be out of nowhere. So you guys will at least have the heads up on it. But just remember, there is a chance I can go live anytime, just randomly, because I just feel like it. Middle of the night, early morning, who knows? But this around 1:30, 2 o'clock Central Time is going to be around the time I'm always going to try, and we'll see what happens from there. But I already feel myself ranting, so I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Outro and who knows? See you or wherever else I see.
If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. And that simple statement is the key to science. It doesn't make a difference how beautiful your guess is. It doesn't make a difference how smart you are who made the guess or what his name is. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong.
Yeah, look, they said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning, spinning. If you know, you know I've been on a what? Mission. Go. Okay, let's get it. Got a little time on my hands like a wristwatch. I don't got time for the brakes and the pit stop. Race through the gridlock, take it like Chris Rock. Right to the chin, still win. Heavy metals like Slipknot. Got the driving, I got tunnel vision. I just hit my stride the way I run the business. I've been making paper like I'm Dunder Mifflin. See the end game, I got one division. Look, I don't ever bother with a critic. Hit him with a chronicle of Riddick. Boom, bottle full of Ritalin. I hit him with a little bit of riddle me this, riddle me that. My bad, fell asleep at the gas. No time to wait though. Elon Musk, I'm trying to bankroll. New Tesla just cause I say so. Electric whip like Ivan Van Gogh. I just did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, you know I've been on a mission. Okay, let's get it. I've been on a mission like totally spice. On my bed she bad, but she totally nice. Nails are blue and her toes feel like white. They completely match out at the soul for my leg. He knew it for sure, but he left with a